Today, on Be Something Wonderful, resting in your wish fulfilled, honoring the Sabbath. I am your host, Tom Kieran, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. One of you asked me, Tom, I know Neville Goddard and other teachers talk about the Sabbath. And I understand that it's that period of time between occupying your wish fulfilled and its manifestation in the 3D world. But I'm just uncertain what I should be doing. And I know that there are those that say that you don't take any action in the 3D world. And I'm just a little bit confused. Well, guys, we're going to unpack this today and more. Here's what I want to say. And this is big, and I've talked about it before, but it's not about taking action or not taking action in the 3D world. It's about your inner world. It's about what you've created within. And once you're sealed in that consciousness of being what you want to be and having what you wanted to have, there's no further interaction necessary. It doesn't matter what you do in the 3D world, right? As long as you're sealed in that consciousness of wish fulfilled, you're going to be taking action. You're going to be moved by that higher power within you, by that God within you, along the path of least resistance, over the bridge of incidence, to everything that you desire. So you'll be taking action, but it's not forced action. It's not premeditated. It's not to make something happen in the outer world. It's to allow and receive what you've already created in your inner world. I want to unpack the Sabbath like we've never unpacked it before. The Sabbath is the consciousness that your wish is fulfilled. That's the Sabbath. It's not really a period of time, it's a state of consciousness. And how long it takes, it is not known. Right? It's the intensity that you maintain that state. Just like we've talked about the mustard seed, right? The faith of a mustard seed. The faith of a mustard seed is absolute because it's sealed in the consciousness of knowing it's a mustard seed and it will grow into a mustard plant or a mustard tree. That's what we're talking about. It's a state of mind of peace, rest, stillness, and conviction. That's what Scripture was even pointing to, right? They talk about, we know it as 6 days and 7 days, but those numbers represent, they have meaning behind them, right? Remember, the number 7 is mentioned over 700 times in the Bible, in Scripture. And it always means completion, wholeness, done. That's what 7, that's the Sabbath, 7th day, right? And then 6 we'll talk about in a few minutes, but that also has some significance. So look at this. You have your desire, right? When you have your desire, now you're mentally detaching from your old unwanted state and you're attaching to your desired state. That's what happens between the desire and the conception. The conception of your wish, the inner manifestation of your wish. What happens between it? You desire it. While you're desiring it, you're imagining your wish fulfilled, right? You're occupying the state. You're assuming it. And as you do that, you're mentally detaching from your old unwanted self, your old unwanted state, and you're attaching to your desired state. The creator is joined or fixed to its creation. That's what happens between the desiring and the conception. And then between the conception and manifestation, as Neville Goddard, the metaphysical teacher Neville Goddard says, there's nothing to do, right? And to imagine that you can do something in the 3D world to help it along is in vain, right? Conception to manifestation, that's the Sabbath. This blue right here, right? These are the 6 days from desire to conception, the days of work, right? But they're not work, it's inner work. It's inner alignment. It's inner correspondence with who you really are, what you really want to have. That's what those 6 days are. The 7th day then is resting in that fulfillment. That's the Sabbath. It's the interval between the fixed impression or the conception and the subjective state and the outer expression of that state. That's what Neville Goddard says. It's the interval, right? We look at it as time. But it's the interval, meaning it's the intensity of maintaining that wish fulfilled between the fixed impression, the conception, and the subjective state or the outward manifestation, the manifestation of 3D. That's what we're talking about. It's not time, it's states. right? So let's unpack this a little bit more. 6 days, and this is what Scripture says, 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. And remember, Lord, when it's all capitalized in the Old Testament, it means law. So it's a Sabbath of rest to the law. You're resting from the law, from that greater. So 6 days shall the work be done. That's what we talked about. That's between your desire and its conception, right? It's the mental work. It's the inner work, right? It's the alignment. It's corresponding with your wish fulfilled. It's becoming one. It's nailing yourself to that new state. It's detaching from that old state, letting that go, right? On the seventh day, remember the seven means wholeness, completion. And there shall be to you a holy day, a whole day, a day of wholeness, right? A day of that you're complete. That's what holy means. It means to be complete. It means to be perfect. That's what it means. 7 in Scripture symbolize completion and perfection. Whole, it's done. The number 7 appears over 700 times. Completion, exoneration, fulfillment, and also means healing. What are you exonerated from? You're exonerated from that old state, unwanted state of being that you didn't want to occupy, from not having what you desire. You're exonerated from that, and you move into fulfillment. That's what it's talking about. Jesus spoke, and here's another interesting thing with the 7. Jesus spoke 7 last statements when he was being crucified, right? That signified the completion of his crucifixion, as his crucifixion, or detaching from the old state of consciousness and now being fixed to the new state. That's what that signifies. 7 statements he made on the cross. Right? That's signifying detaching from that old state of consciousness and now being fixed to that new state. Right? Now being sealed in the consciousness of what you want in your life, of being that, of already having it. It's done. That's what we're talking about. And then the 3D manifestation follows. So the Sabbath is that feeling of conviction of having or being that what you previously desired to have or be. That's the Sabbath. It's the feeling. It's a feeling of conviction, of wholeness, of completion, right? Wish fulfilled. It's that fulfillment of having or being what you previously desired to have or be. There's no wanting and desiring here. This is big. So once you reach, and this is really the key to the Sabbath, right? Because a lot of you sometimes ask, well, if I already have it, okay, but then what? I'm still wanting it. So what does that mean? Well, here's the thing, guys. This is big. You still want it, but you don't desire or want it in the same way as before. So you still want it, even though it hasn't manifested in 3D, but you want it or desire it in a different way. Because it's from a way of knowing. It's from a way of conviction that it's already yours. Do you hear this? It doesn't mean you don't want it. It means you're not wanting it. You're not needing it. You're not desiring it from a place of lack. Now you're wanting it from a place of fulfillment, from it already being done, from a knowing that it's already yours and that you can rest in that conviction. That's the difference. Right? A lot of you ask, well, if I don't, but what does that mean? I don't want it anymore? It doesn't mean that. It means you're not wanting it from a place of lack. You're not desiring it from a place of lack. Right? Here's an example. Right? And I think some of you go, Tom, more examples. I'm going to weave those in. So here's an example. This is your desire. I want to go to this sold out concert. It's one night only. I really want to go. I'm really desiring to go to this concert. But it's impossible. It's one night. It's sold out. Tickets are in the tens of thousands of dollars. They're just going up because there are no tickets. The 3D world now is showing you it's impossible to get those tickets. Right? Massive waiting list on those tickets. It seems impossible. But what do? You turn away from all that. You close the door on that old state. You close the door on the 3D world. You no longer see that. And what do? You go within. And you imagine you're telling your best friend how amazing the concert was. You're not imagining the scene of getting tickets or anything like that. You're imagining you've already went and you enjoyed it so much. And you're telling your friend, I can't believe it, that it all fell into place. It was like a miracle. And I went to the concert and I enjoyed it so much. It was the time of my life. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You remember when it seemed, and I remember when it seemed impossible that I would never go, and now I went and it was so great. Do you hear that? That's the imaginal scene. You're pumped, right? It's there. You're feeling it now, right? And then what happens? That's good. That's you going from the desire to the conception. You have now conceived. Your wish is now fulfilled. You're now sealed in the consciousness of being what you want to be, of having what you want to be, right? You're going to that. You went to that concert. You already have it. You have that experience within you, right? Then a colleague who got tickets months before suddenly has to go on an emergency trip out of the country. There's no way about it. It's just days before the concert and gifts you the tickets. That's what happens. That's how miracles happen. So hear this. You got the tickets, but your wish wasn't for the tickets. Your wish was to go to the concert. So now that's the conception. It's done. You have a knowing now that you're going to the concert. You have the tickets. So now you're in the Sabbath. You're now honoring the Sabbath. You still want to go to the concert. It's not like you don't want to go now that you have the tickets. Hear this. It's a different kind of wanting. It's a different kind of desiring. Do you get this? It's so big here today, guys, because now you still want to go to the concert. You still desire to go, but it's not from a desiring or from a state of lack and need and neediness, right? It's from a state of, I got the tickets, so I'm going to the concert. It's from conviction. It's from a knowing. That's the Sabbath. That's powerful, right? So you want to go to the concert, but it's a different wanting. It's from a place of knowing, a conviction. It's done, right? It was told in Scripture that Jesus performed many miracles in Scripture. But 7 of those miracles, hear this, the number 7 again, were performed on the Sabbath. Hear the significance of this. 7 of those were notable because they were performed on the Sabbath, right? The Sabbath, and this is what Jesus says, the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. For the Son of Man is the Lord even of the Sabbath. That's powerful, right? Or not Jesus. This was in the Old Testament. Or no, this was in Mark. Okay. So he performed many miracles, but 7 of those miracles were notable because they were performed on the Sabbath. It's not about what you do or don't do in 3D. Hear this. Jesus, according to the law, right? According to the law, that he wasn't supposed to do anything on the Sabbath, right? The Pharisees were inflamed by that he was actually healing on the Sabbath, right? But why did he do that? He did that to show that it's not about what you do or don't do. It's your inner state. Jesus performed those healings out of compassion, out of love, but also to show that law is a 3D law. It's a man-made law. And you follow God's law, that law within, the law of being. That's what Jesus was getting at. That those man-made laws are not, that you don't follow those. You don't follow those laws of the 3D, what you should do and don't do. You follow your inner law, the inner law of God, that being within you. Do you hear the significance of this? And that's why he says the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. For the Son of Man is the Lord of even of the Sabbath. That's powerful. That's what he was demonstrating. 7 miracles out of dozens of miracles in the Bible were done on the Sabbath. The number 7, wholeness and completeness. Not only that, the other reason that he could heal, that it's probably easier, maybe, or not easier, but more for the state of consciousness, the one that's being healed now, right? In the Sabbath, you're resting in fulfillment. That's what he was showing here. But this is big. The Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. That's what he was showing here. So it's not about what you do or don't do. Hear this. It's only what you do within. That's all that matters. That's big. Let's unpack this a little bit more. The 6 days are not time, but the moment your desired state is fixed within. Do you hear this, okay? So we're not talking about time. Those 6 days of work is the moment. It's a moment, right? Again, it's not struggling with processes. It's not trying things over and over again. It's not putting effort in. over and over again. It's simply detaching from your old state and attaching to the new one, to your new desired state within, without struggle, without effort, right? Feeling it real within. Feeling it real within. The 6 days are not time, but the moment your desired state is fixed within, you have occupied the state of wish fulfilled. And then Neville Goddard, in his teachings, talks about the significance of Yod, He, Vav, He. This is the divine name of God, Jehovah, right? This is and these are the Hebrew letters in the Hebrew alphabet, right? These are the letters that represent God's name, the great I am. Right? The divine name. And it also, as Neville points out, and I've pointed this out in earlier videos where we unpack this as the secret to creation, but I'll hit it here because it's very applicable to the Sabbath, that Yod is the unconscious awareness. That's that God with you. That's that Christ within you. That's that conscious awareness. It's unconditioned. And then that He is the desire or the imagined state, the only begotten Son. What do you want? Right? You want to go to the concert, right? So you have your unconditioned awareness, you have your desire to go to the concert, a concert that's sold out, right? And then the Vav is that action of unifying the conceiver with its conception. That's you identifying with that you already went to the concert, that it was amazing. You become one with that feeling of fulfillment, having gone to the concert, having had that experience, right? You're now attaching or joining. It's the feeling. That's Vav, right? And then the final He is the manifested objective state, right? Yod, He, Vav, He. The secret to creating your own reality, right? The unconscious awareness, right? And then the desire or the only begotten Son, right? The only begotten Son, your desire, your wish fulfilled. I want to go to that concert. Then you join the unconditioned consciousness to that state of what you want, to your desire. They're joined by the feeling. It's crucified or it's joined or it's nailed. They're nailed together, right, in the feeling. And that then creates the manifestation in the 3D world, the He. Right? And here's the significance of that Vav. That Vav is the 6th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. The 6 represents the 6 days, or in other words, the moment that your new desire is fixed within, that your unconditioned consciousness is fixed to your desired state, and they become one. And then it manifests in the 3D world. That's powerful. That's what we're talking about. So the Sabbath is the state of allowing or receiving. Oh yeah, I want to really hit this. So the Sabbath is what other spiritual teachers, you've ever heard Abraham Hicks and all of them talk about the receiving mode or the allowing mode. Well, that's what the Sabbath is, right? You're not doing anything, you're receiving now. You're receiving what you've already created within without. You're allowing to come to you what you've already created within without. There's nothing left to do. You'll do things, but that will be aligned action. That way you'll be moved to do it. But again, it doesn't matter because you've already created within. It's law. It must now manifest, right? Sabbath is the state of allowing or the receiving mode. This is the surrender to your wish fulfilled. It's resting in the fulfillment in your inner authority. You are now one with your desire. Hear this. It's resting in fulfillment, but it's also resting in your inner authority. You've created it. It's resting in it. It's not doubting. You're not doubting now your inner authority. You're resting in that fulfillment. That's the Sabbath, right? And this is what Jesus said in John 14:10. Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? He asked the question. The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority. Whoa, this is big. But the Father who dwells within me does the works. That's what Jesus was talking about. Jesus was talking about when you're in the Sabbath, now it's your inner authority, right? It's your inner authority. It's not your 3D you, right? Not your own authority. It's the authority of that higher you, that Christ within you, that power within you, right? That I am in the Father and the Father is in me, that you are now one with your desire. The unconditioned consciousness, the Father, is now joined or unified with the only begotten Son, right? Your desire. They're now one. They're within each other, right? And I do not speak on my own authority, not your own 3D linear time authority, right? But the Father who dwells within me does the works. That's so powerful. You stop following the rules of the 3D world that you need to see it to believe it. That's what when Jesus did those 7 healings that were very notable because they were done on the Sabbath. He did dozens and dozens of healings, and many are not even recorded. Most of them are not even recorded in the Bible, right? But yet he did 7 on the Sabbath. Why? Because you don't have to follow the rules of the 3D world, that you need to see it to believe it. That was the message of the King of Kings when he did those healings on the Sabbath. That was his message to the Pharisees, that I don't follow. I follow God. It's God's law that I follow. That's the only law, not the 3D law. That's what he's saying to you. You don't have to follow the 3D world, that you need to take massive action to get what you want. You have to struggle and strive and effort to get what you want. You don't need to see it to believe it. You believe it and then you see it. That's what Jesus was saying. Jesus is saying the healing, that's what he was doing on the Sabbath. So let's hit this again a little bit more. Conversations with God, Neale Donald Walsch. What does God say through Neale Donald Walsch? You shall remember to keep a day for me, and you shall call it holy. Whole, remember, whole is holy. This, so that you do not long stay in your illusion, but cause yourself to remember who and what you are. And then shall you soon call every day the Sabbath, and every day, and every moment holy. Wow! That's God interpreting the commandment, right? The commandment to honor the Sabbath. That's what it means, right? You call it holy. You don't stay in your illusion that you're not already what you want to be, that you don't already have what you heretofore wanted, right? You cause yourself to remember who and what you really are, that Christ within you, that power that's within you, right? Then shall you call every day the Sabbath, and every moment holy. Do you hear this? You're always in the Sabbath. Right? You're always going to desire, but it's about from moving from that desire to its conception, knowing that it's within you, right? And this is what it says in A Course in Miracles, that Course in Miracles, and I'll leave a link below. I'm sure a lot of you know what that is. That was and here's what A Course in Miracles says: I am under no laws but God's. That's what Jesus was saying. I'm not under your law. That 3D law, the Pharisees' law, that I'm not supposed to do anything on the Sabbath. I'm under no law but God's. That's what he was demonstrating, right? And then when it says fear God and keep His commandments in Scripture, this is what Neale Donald Walsch talks about: know God within and accept His certainty. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a nice way? It's not about fearing God and keeping His commandments. It's about knowing God within and accepting His certainty. Wow, that's powerful, guys. That is how to rest in your wish fulfilled and honor the Sabbath. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. You can follow us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Karen, and you can visit our website anytime at tomkaren.com or besomethingwonderful.com. With great love, with great light, and infinite gratitude, see you soon.